Good evening, South Africa and Zimbabwe. Welcome to our final webinar for the virtual Expo in March 2022. Thank you for everybody that joined in us, who's posed questions, who supported the webinars. We really do appreciate your time. And for all the recordings, please visit our website or continue to contact us and we'll gladly share those recordings with you. They will be distributed to the schools. So without further ado, we're Global Education. We help students to study abroad. We represent over 400 universities. We're presenting to you today Griffith University in Queensland. It's a beautiful institution. It's one of our oldest partners that we're very proud to support. And we've got the director, Stephen Lewin, who's in charge of all the recruitment, who's been working with us for a long, long time. So Stephen, I'm going to stop talking and let you take over, and I'll see you at the end for Q&A.
Thank you very much, George. It is wonderful to be here again. We've done several of these over the recent years, and it's just wonderful to be able to share information about the university and help students have a better idea about the options available to them, and to help students make an informed decision about their study abroad options that's available. Today, I do welcome students from South Africa and Zimbabwe, and it's great to have borders open. And I will be talking a little bit more about borders, but it's definitely a big welcome back to Australia now that students are traveling back on campus. We've just recently completed orientation, or O Week, at the university, and it's just fantastic to see our vibrant community campus with our international students starting and being able to come from overseas to start at the campus this trimester. Today, I'm joined with Beldina Wasia, a recent appointment, our regional marketing manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. Hi, Beldina. Thanks for joining us. Beldina will be working with me and in assisting students and our partner network, and of course, all the team at Global Education, and we'll be working with our engagement with high school counsellors and students going forward. So just a little bit about Griffith University, and then we'll go into some have an opportunity to answer questions you have. So please do type in your questions or have some ready at the end of this short presentation. Griffith is a relatively young university, globally speaking. We're under 50 years of age, and it started to fill a gap in higher education back in the 70s here in Queensland. Before Griffith, there was a couple of very prestigious universities. It was quite difficult to get into. It was quite expensive to get into. You needed really high marks. And so Griffith was designed to be a university that would offer more of the public or access to a wider range of people into higher education. So it challenged the beliefs of what entry requirements were back then, and still does, and offered a quality higher education at a more affordable tuition fee. It's the first university, and I will talk a little bit more about some of the other firsts, but it is the first university to offer environmental science and Asian studies. And this was important, and there was a lot of foresight back then in the 70s that is becoming very, very pertinent today. And that commitment to equitable, the wider range of access, and that environmental sustainable society, it stays with us and is part of our ethos, our philosophy as we design new programs. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as well later on. We include real life industry experience and in our degrees, and have a greater range of employability initiatives. We have listened to students, and we know now through research that students are placing more importance on graduate outcomes than university ranking. Now, this is the first time I've seen this research in many years working in the sector, and it's a very exciting development. And I'm thankful that students are seeing the importance of staying focused and looking at career outcomes. This is something that's very close to the hearts of staff and academics at the university. And our aim is for our students to have global citizenship, so that so we include an international focus and hopefully preparing students to be able to live and work all around the world, not just here in Australia. At Griffith, we're led by these values, and our teaching and research prioritize innovation and social impact, reflecting our beliefs that everyone deserves a chance to make a difference for themselves and others. And this short video highlights the fascinating ways our students are making an impact. If, so George, I'm just...
Do you want me to send that link to me and I can play it through my screen?
Let me just give it... should just load automatically. I'm not sure, I've never seen this not played, so let's just move on. I will be able to share the in the presentation, that hyperlink is there, and everyone watching this recording today will be able to see that URL, and these slides will be available to you and the team, George, to share with everyone accordingly. So thanks. I do have one more video coming up, so I'll be interested to see if that one plays. Regardless, let's move on. So a little bit more about the university. It is a government university that with around 50,000 students, and between 7,000 and 8,000 international students. We've got about 4,000 staff, including around 2,300 academic staff that have expertise to take on research students. We do have around 2,000 PhD students at the university, so there's a lot of research available. And we're delivering over 200 degrees across 130 different nationalities. Now, let's see if in this video I've presented an opportunity for you to see the different learning environments that our students have access to be able to have improved graduate outcomes, and they are more prepared to go into the workplace as a result. Let's see if this works. Incredible. Okay, so let's move on. We have 4 academic groups at Griffith. We don't call them faculties, but rather groupings of areas of study that help students with a more, I guess, studies that have more interdisciplinary contact with other parts of the university. And these groups drive our degrees and our education. Each of these groups comprise a range of schools, departments, and specializing in a spectrum of subjects and disciplines. The AEL, or Arts Education Law Group, encompasses creative and performing arts, law, education, criminology, social science and humanities. The Griffith Business School looks at preparing graduates for responsible leadership and sustainable business practices. Griffith Health offers an environment with over 100 different degrees. So you'll find studying health at Griffith, you'll join a very caring community and be introduced to teams-based approach to healthcare with hands-on practical experiences right from the start. And Griffith Sciences Group takes pride in its ongoing global commitments to the higher education sector, offering degrees in architecture, construction, planning, engineering and IT, and aviation and science and the environment, so a very large group. A little known fact about Griffith is that it has won more Australian awards for university teaching than any other in Australia since 2012, including in the last 6 years, 3 outstanding awards, which is the highest achievement for an academic at a university in Australia, known as the Prime Minister's Australian University of the Year. So we've had 3 academics win that award in the last 6 years, including in this picture is Kev Larkin, Dr. Kevin Larkin, I should say, from the School of Education and Professional Studies. He was the 2018 Australian University Teacher of the Year. He has over 35 years of teaching experience and has spent the last 7 years inspiring and motivating pre-service teachers and transform how mathematics education is taught. So he is teaching future maths teachers, and we're very proud of his achievements. Griffith is ranked in the top 300 of every major global university ranking. Now, you'll see rankings from a lot of universities, and there might be 1 or 2 ranking systems that are used that universities have plucked out because it highlights their strengths. At Griffith, though, we're putting all the cards on the table, and we're looking at all the key major ranking systems globally, including the Times Higher Education, the QS World Rankings, the Shanghai Jiao Tong, the Leiden rankings, which looks at research, and Griffith sits comfortably in that 200 to 300 range in all of those major ranking systems. As a young university, we have the freedom to respect tradition without being restricted by it. And this allows us the flexibility to adapt to an ever-changing needs of students, the industry, and our community. Griffith introduced Australia's first degrees in a wide range of important areas, from Asian studies and environmental science, which I mentioned earlier, to dental technology and forensic science. The Times Higher Education Impact Rankings compares universities on research, stewardship, outreach, and teaching across the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we're very proud of being ranked 38 in the world of all universities globally, and there are 10,000 universities. But this is very important for us, and we are now designing degrees with these United Nations SDGs in mind. Case in point, Bachelor of Business was designed with those SDGs. The new Master of Global Development is also written with those SDGs in mind, and again, striving for that global citizenship that I mentioned earlier. Now, if rankings are important to you, and I'm not saying they should be, but if they are important to you, then I also think it's important that you drill down further and look at the subject rankings. When you do that for Griffith, you'll find that the leading areas of study are nursing and midwifery, which is ranked number 2 in the world and number 1 in Australia. Hospitality and tourism is currently ranked number 5. It's ranked as high as 2, and in other years, 3 in the world. And marine and ocean engineering. We've got an amazing facility there at the Gold Coast campus, allowing research students to understand marine and ocean engineering. But there is a very wide range, around 20 different areas of study that touches across all points of the university, that's ranked in the top 150 of the world. So much higher than the university as a whole. And this is, I think, an important recognition of the academic and the teaching and learning that Griffith is offering students in all campuses and in all areas of study. Griffith is only located in and around southeast Queensland, and then there's the digital campus on top of that. So there are 5 campuses in and around Brisbane and Gold Coast, and they're only about an hour away from each other. But Brisbane is considered is the capital of Queensland, and is a major capital city in Australia. Gold Coast is smaller, but is considered regional, and that'll become important, that distinction, in a minute. Within Brisbane City, we've got our South Bank campus, which is home to the Queensland College of Art, the Griffith Film School, which is Australia's largest film school, and the very prestigious Queensland Conservatorium of Music. Gold Coast, this is a picture of the Gold Coast campus, where in the foreground and in the background, you can see the sky line of downtown surfers paradise, and known as Gold Coast proper. These are all the accommodation of hotels and apartments, condominiums, etc., that are on the boardwalk or on the waterfront. This waterfront is around 50 kilometres long, about 70 metres wide, and is a beautiful place for holiday makers. In fact, it is Australia's favourite holiday destination, but it's a great destination for students to be able to find work, be able to live, and have a good balance of a study and lifestyle experience. It's our largest campus. We've got around 21,000 students studying at this campus across almost all disciplines of the university. It's only a few minutes, so there is public transport that takes students from downtown Surfers Paradise to the campus in about 20-25 minutes on public transport. It's a tram system, and the building that you can see in this picture is the health centre, which cost around $150 million. This is the centerpiece for our health students. We've got teaching and learning facilities in this building, as well as an opportunity to work with the general public. So it's a functioning clinic where patients for dentistry, allied health, go here, and students in their final years are working with the general public as and patients. I was talking about that regional status, and what this means for you is that when you graduate, the Australian government says you can stay in Australia for a certain period of time, and on top of that, if you study at a regional campus like the Gold Coast campus, you can get an extra year on top of that. So what that means is when you study a bachelor degree, you're eligible to stay in Australia for a further 2 years. With studying at the Gold Coast, you can stay 3, and you are now eligible to stay in Australia for 3 years when you graduate from a coursework master's degree. And by studying at the Gold Coast, you'll be eligible to stay 4 years in total, with that extra year included. This is an image of the first campus, the Nathan campus, where my office is located. As you can see, it's very green. It's set in a forest, in fact. But it's not isolated totally. Just outside the picture here, there's suburbs and shopping centres and a lot of accommodation for students and transportation hubs, etc. So it's a very convenient location for students preferring the more urban lifestyle of what Brisbane can offer as a capital city. The yellow box in that picture is something I just added. Griffith has recently completed a brand new and the latest engineering, IT and aviation building in Australia. It's actually, this is the picture of it. It's absolutely stunning. And it is actually a living laboratory where more than 30 sensors are placed in the foundations and around the building that monitor the building's energy, water consumption, structural performance, and students are able to access this data as part of their studies. This campus opened first in 75. We have around 13,000 students enrolled in business and government, engineering, IT, aviation, of course, humanities and languages, and law. I mentioned earlier that the graduate outcomes meant a lot to us. We know that it means even more for our students. So Griffith graduates are more equipped for that new world work. We include real-life industry experiences in the degrees and have a range of employability initiatives that are designed to give students careers a kickstart. Griffith ticks of employability are just the start of a great university experience, and these include internship opportunities that are available in every study group. a range of mentoring programs that connect students locally and globally, allowing students to engage with other students, alumni, and industry professionals to give them guidance and a head start. All Griffith students are provided with the tools to build an e-portfolio, which is then used to highlight the skills and experiences that they gain with us. There's professional profiling. So Griffith's LinkedIn e-module provides professional guidance on connecting with industry professionals, employers, and alumni. Global mobility. So we offer a range of opportunities to enhance students' degrees through a global learning experience. And that can be not just flying to another country, but can also be accessed virtually through digital campuses. There's leadership enrichment and development. So these workshops are designed to motivate and educate students as leaders and professionals in training. And we also have an Enrich Your Studies program, which offers guidance on maximizing studies and with tips on how to build your employability skills base. So there's a lot on offer. We do invest a lot of resources in helping students and with this transition through the university to improve their transition out of the university and into the workforce. Currently, the university is offering 3 key scholarships to our international students studying bachelor degrees and master degrees by coursework. There's the Merit Scholarship to the value of 20%, and the Excellent Scholarship to the value of 25%. This is for on the tuition fees for the duration of the programs. To qualify, you just need to submit your application to the degree, and the admissions team will automatically calculate your GPA and make an offer of one of these scholarship programs if you qualify. To qualify, it is considered a 5 on a 7 scale for the 20% merit scholarship, or above a 5.5, students are eligible for the 25% scholarship. The third scholarship, the Remarkable Scholarship, there are much fewer of these scholarships available, and it's much more competitive. It is based on 50% tuition fees for the duration of the program, but because of the limited number of these scholarships, we have 3 rounds per year, and students need to apply for these. The students with the best that have an amazing profile and an excellent GPA are selected 3 times a year for each of that matches each of our intakes. So what that means is the university does have 3 trimesters. We're now in our first trimester with students in their 3rd week already. Gosh, that's gone quickly. The next trimester that we're helping students with is the July intake, which is mid-July with orientation at the beginning of July. And that goes through to October. And many of our degrees will have a July intake, not all, but many. And then we're also talking to students about our trimester 3 intake for October, which starts in November. There are fewer of these programs available in trimester 3. So by far the largest intake for us is always trimester 1, and applications are always open. We have a rolling admissions basis. There are only just a very few or a small handful of programs that do have application deadlines because they have a limited number of places available. But the vast bulk of our 200 degrees actually do not have quotas. We've got basically unlimited capacity to take students into them because of the size of the university, the number of academic staff, the teaching spaces we have. We've tried to make the application system as streamlined as possible. You would simply, we've got a great resource on our website to be able to select the right sort of degree for you. And by working with your counsellors of global education, they will guide you into finding the right degree, whether that right degree is the name of a degree or the major that you're looking for, or the campus that you want, or the duration of the degree that you're after. The counsellors will guide you into meeting your objectives. They will then let you know what the entry requirements are, and we publish our entry requirements so that you can see whether you'd be eligible or not. This takes away that anxiety of submitting an application and not knowing if you're going to get an offer or not. If you have already got some previous tertiary studies, you may be eligible for credit. So that is something that the counsellors at Global Ed will guide you through. And then they will work with you on preparing your documentation and uploading that into our international admissions online portal. They will then communicate with the university to get you an offer in the quickest amount of time, and explain to you what those terms and conditions are of the offer and how to accept your offer and the payments available, etc. They will then work with you in that important step of applying for a visa to Australia, and once you have your visa, how prepare you for your accommodation and give you advice on your travel arrangements and enrolling in courses as the final step in the process. So yes, it is a big welcome back. This used to say future. This is now the present. So we, as a nation and as a state, have over 90% of our citizens and residents now vaccinated, which is considered double. Many have triple vaccinations. Travel resumed back to Australia in December 2021, and international students started arriving back here in January 2022 without the need for quarantine. So we have got a web page for the Queensland student arrival plan. This allows you to see the vaccinations that are recognised by the Queensland government and the federal government, and giving you some tips on arriving and planning for your arrival. It is relatively straightforward. It's almost completely back to normal. We're not wearing masks in public. We've done away with that. The health system feels confident that it is managing anyone who is getting COVID under your the compulsory overseas health cover. You're covered for medical procedures if you do fall ill, but we're very glad that once you have these recognised vaccination, that you do not need to go into government quarantine, or you would just need to take a test, and if you do test positive for COVID-19, you would just self-isolate for a week until your symptoms are no longer present. One thing going forward, though, is that there is definitely there will be a blended delivery of learning and teaching. That is, we're still offering students the flexibility to take large lectures, which could be anywhere from 50 students to 300 students, to be able to just log on and be able to access that lecture, whether it's a 50-minute or an hour lecture or whatever it is, to be able to see the lecture presented by the academic through software that is specific to presentations in an academic environment. We're also using Turnitin and other platforms for students to be able to submit their assignments and examinations through software, so not needing to just drive all the way to go to campus just to hand in a paper. And we've also seen a greater uptake of university students accessing our support and student engagement through the virtual engagement. So the international student advisors, for example, have continued to offer students the chance to Zoom in and have one-to-one consultations by Zoom or by Skype, etc. And this is in other areas of the university as well. So this blended, come on campus, access the education, teaching, learning, and support, or have a chance to access that through blended through the virtual engagement and from the comfort of your own home. A couple of recent changes. One was, I've already mentioned, so the Australian government has increased the stay of the temporary graduate visa from 2 to 3 years for the masters by coursework. And if you study those programs at the Gold Coast campus, that's extended to 4 years. And more recently, the government removed the 40-hour per night restriction on working hours. So as an international student on a visa, you're eligible to stay to work up to 40 hours per 2-week period, or on average 20 hours a week. This was never enough for you to pay for your tuition fees or to pay for your rent or the important bills. You need to have that separate budget for that, and so that you're not at risk of not being able to pay your fees or pay your bills. But it's important to have that access to work experience while you're studying. We need to get Australia back on its feet in terms of more delivery for food to shopping centres, and more people out helping the agricultural industry get food onto the tables, from farms to the markets, to the supermarkets. So to assist with that, the government lifted that 40-hour per week restriction, and students are currently able to work unlimited hours while they're studying. It's important to remember, though, that to take into consideration that your priority should be your studies, so that you're not putting those at risk. But it's this was not going to be a very long term. I believe the government will be reviewing this in the not too distant future to see where we are at, and how is the response from students and the need to continue this program. So George, I've covered quite a bit of, I've touched on quite a few points about the university and in general studying in Australia and the Gold Coast. At this point, I might just stop sharing, and hopefully that's set the scene for a few questions going forward.
Yeah, you covered quite a bit, and something I wanted to ask you was on those rankings on those individual courses. And it's always, I think, really impressive that you've explained it really well, because like most people just look at the ranking and they think, oh, it's that top university, that's where I want to go. But you drive down to that course and it's like, whoops, that's something you should look into. Is there a reason why nursing and hospitality are the top two, and tourism? Is that focused by the founders, or is it just something that's sort of nurtured over time?
Look, I think it's been somewhat organic, but the academic staff that we've got together, in terms of health, we do an awful lot of work with students on, because traditionally health is delivered in silos. So I'm a nursing student and I study nursing, and they don't actually get to work in a setting where it's not just me as a nurse anymore. There's a patient there, and there's a doctor here, and there's a allied health specialist there, and a pharmacist here, and an ambulance driver, and where do I fit in all that? So we bring in that integrated discipline approach to all of the programs in health, as well as being driven by research. So we're doing amazing research. We've got just to highlight that, an academic that's doing great work with dementia patients, and they've designed a robot animal, if you like, that dementia patients are able to feel a relief by having access to this robot and be able to pat it, and you know, it's just there's some just amazing academics out there in the nursing school and midwifery, of course, that's part of that fantastic grouping.
Some questions have just popped up here, Stephen.
Yeah.
So let's get into them. One, I'm going to let you answer. Does the university offer medicine?
Yeah, look, yes, and dozens and dozens of other areas of study related to health. It's probably the Gold Coast is probably I think it's the fastest growing health precinct in Australia right now, and partly driven by the fact that right opposite, like directly across the road, press a button on the robot, go across the street, and you've got access to Gold Coast University Public Hospital, which has 750 beds. And right beside that, Gold Coast Private Hospital with another 250 beds. And this is providing great access to students, including medicine. So medicine at Griffith is a postgraduate qualification, and what I like about that is that you can have any bachelor degree and join medicine. You can, you can study engineering, or you can study library sciences, or you can have a design degree or business degree and have an area of study that you're interested in, and then still have a chance to go on to do medicine after that. This takes away the pressure of needing to have absolute A's across every subject at high school to be able to enter medicine. Instead, you can enter a degree with whatever those entry requirements are, which could be, a C- average to be able to get into a Bachelor of Business or IT or Design or a wide range of programs. But at the end of that program, be able to excel and have high grades to compete for entry into a medicine degree at the postgraduate level. Obviously, students will not just apply to Griffith. In fact, it's known as one of the hardest medical schools to get into. It's got a very small quota, under 40 students for international students, that is. But students will use that first degree to apply to other graduate medical schools around Australia.
Thank you, Stephen. To the person who asked that question, please do get in touch with us, and I'll put our contacts at the end, and I will share the links and presentation that Stephen put together for all of us. Stephen, I've got a couple more questions here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
One for cost that I'll do second, but the first one is from Zimbabwe. Priska, thank you very much for your question and your participation here. She's a holder of a degree in educational management and a master's in educational administration, would like to pursue education in, I'm presuming, Griffith. She's looking to take up public administration, and what's your advice?
Look, great, go for it. That's my advice. There are a wide range of programs at the university that and as I said, when we started, we were looking at providing a greater access to higher education. So a lot of degrees are designed with flexibility for entry requirements. And in some cases, students can have any bachelor degree and be able to apply for a degree. There are, however, some restrictions in joining the university, and that is you need a visa to come to study at the campus. So the challenge is, will you get a visa to be able to study the degree that we want you, to give access to you? And this is where your counsellors at Global Education are very skilled. They use their experience and their knowledge of the Department of Home Affairs and the interpretation of the requirements for a visa to work out, does the degree that you want to study effectively help advance your career? And that suggests that you have started a career in public policy or public administration or governance, whether that career is based on your past education or whether it's based on your current employment or previous employment. So that is your challenge. How does the degree going to advance your career, and how do you articulate that in your application to get a visa to study in Australia?
Just to add on to that, Priska, as well, the one thing that we do at Global is identify your position and your information well in advance before you make any decisions on where you'd like to study. We help gather all that information for you so you can make a calculated decision that's going to help progress your career in whatever shape or form that is. So please do get in touch. I pinged you a direct message as well. Stephen, I've got, I think it's the final question. We'll give it a little bit more time. And the question is, what are the fees and costs for international students? And I've got a follow-up for that one.
Yeah, thanks. So tuition fees at Griffith are probably average around that 30 to 32,000 Australian dollar mark. Obviously, there are a couple of degrees that are lower than that. And there are some other degrees that are higher. Engineering is higher. It's probably closer to 37,000 or so per year, right up to medicine and dentistry, which are probably the most expensive. And I don't want to shock you, but I'll whisper it, about $60,000 to $70,000 per year. But as I said, those degrees, medicine is postgraduate, and so that means that you only pay for those 4 years at that sort of tuition fee. Your first degree is at the regular tuition fee, which is again another benefit having a postgraduate medicine program. It helps to keep the fees down. You don't have medical type medical level fees for a whole 6 or 7 years. It's reduced considerably to around that 30 to 32,000 Australian dollar mark. Other fees, George, that I should probably include would be your overseas health cover, which I think is around $600 or $700 per year or so for a single. And it's a little bit more if you're coming with a dependent or a partner.
Then the follow-up question from me, and I think it's great that we can get you recorded saying all of this as well, Stephen, is what are the scholarship opportunities for 2022, 2023? Is it a little bit less than 2021 where we had kind of COVID? Are they growing? What's the deal with it?
Yeah, sure. So the 2022 scholarships, those that I was talking about earlier. So we've got the 20%, the 25% and the 50%, and they're still eligible for students up until trimester 3 this year. These are the same scholarships that have been put in place for international students as been for the last 2 years or 3 years. So they were introduced when COVID began to ease the financial burden on families through this period. And it's been great to have the Griffith University executive supporting these scholarships. I believe it's a slightly over $20 million investment each year for these scholarships. The 20 and 25% scholarships were offered to all students that were eligible. So basically everyone that was applying was eligible for that scholarship as long as they met that GPA requirement. The 50% scholarships have been around for many years and will likely to continue. But at this very point in time, we don't have word on what the 2023 scholarships are yet. We're expecting that, I would say, probably within the next 6 weeks or so, we'll have a better understanding about the university's strategies going forward for international scholarships. So I hope to have more news on that in the next time we get together for one of these catch-ups and information sessions.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I really do appreciate it. So I think we're going to call it an evening. I think you've answered all our questions. Your presentation was great. I'm going to read you out Priska's comments because I thought that was really well said. She said, thank you very much for a well-articulated presentation. And I do agree. Thank you very much, Stephen. To everybody listening in, before I let Stephen close off this webinar, our contact details are on your screen. Please take a photo of that barcode or give us an email, whether you're in Zimbabwe, South Africa, or anywhere in Southern Africa. We'll get you in touch with the right people. And as Stephen said, please do get the right information out to make the best decision possible for your own career and education as well. Stephen, I'll let you close it out and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, George. So look, I hope this information session helps put Griffith into perspective on what your study options are. I hope it gives you the confidence to go forward and to continue to explore what opportunities are available to you. I think it's an amazing opportunity if you can come to Australia to study at university, even if it's not Griffith. I hope that you have the opportunity at some stage in the future to do that. Thanks, George.
Everybody, have a lovely evening, keep safe, and have a good morning in Brisbane, Stephen.
Thank you.